From the PEP Radio Newsroom, this is the PM News for October 20th, 2025. These are the stories we are reporting at this hour. As President Donald Trump hosts Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese at the White House on Monday, his administration is eyeing the continent's rich rare earth resources as a potential counterpoint to China's new export restrictions on the critical minerals. Beijing said it will require Chinese government approval for any exports of magnets that contain even trace amounts of rare earth materials that originated from China or that were produced with Chinese technology. The U.S. Trade Representative said this gives China broad power over the global economy by controlling the tech supply chain, making Australia's mining economy a key alternative for critical minerals sought by the U.S. Australia's ministers overseeing resources and industry and science are joining the Prime Minister for the talks on trade and defense. Trump has not indicated publicly whether he'll continue the AUKUS, A-U-K-U-S, security pact with Australia, the United States, and the United Kingdom that was signed during the Biden administration. The Pentagon is reviewing the agreement. In other news, Energy Secretary Chris Wright says furloughs have begun at the National Nuclear Security Administration, the agency tasked with overseeing the U.S. nuclear stockpile. In a social media post Monday, Wright said the agency is furloughing federal employees due to the Schumer shutdown, a reference to the government shutdown that began October 1st. Wright said he is visiting the Nevada National Security Site Monday and will ask Nevada's leaders to help us end this shutdown. The National Nuclear Security Administration has said it could furlough up to 1,400 workers as a result of a funding lapse from the shutdown. Nearly 400 federal workers would remain on the job along with NNSA contractors. The agency, a semi-autonomous branch of the Department of Energy, also works to secure nuclear materials around the world. The Supreme Court said on Monday that it will consider whether people who regularly smoke cannabis can legally own guns, the latest firearm case to come before the court since its 2022 decision expanding gun rights. Trump's administration asked the justices to revive a case against a Texas man charged with a felony because he allegedly had a gun in his home and acknowledged being a regular cannabis user. The Republican administration favors Second Amendment rights, but government attorneys argued that this ban is a justifiable restriction. The man's attorneys argue that the broadly written law puts millions of people at risk of technical violations since at least 20% of Americans have tried cannabis, according to government health data. About half of states legalized recreational cannabis, but it's still illegal under federal law. Federal officials are due in court on Monday to take questions about the Trump administration's immigration crackdown in the Chicago area, which has produced more than 1,000 arrests, as well as complaints that agents are increasingly using combative tactics. The hearing comes a few days after a judge ordered uniformed immigration agents to wear body cameras, if the devices are available, and turn them on when engaged in arrests, frisks, and building searches or when being deployed to protests. The body cam decision is the latest step in a lawsuit by news organizations and community groups witnessing protests and arrests in the Chicago area. U.S. District Judge Sarah Ellis initially said agents must wear badges, and she banned them from using certain riot control techniques against peaceful protesters and journalists. Ellis said last Thursday that she was a little startled after seeing TV images of street confrontations that involved tear gas and other tactics during the Trump administration's Operation Midway Blitz. Turning to Pennsylvania news, today is the voter registration deadline here in the Commonwealth, and election officials say every vote counts. To register to vote in Pennsylvania, you must be a U.S. citizen for at least 1 month before the election, be a city resident and live in your election district for at least 30 days, and be 18 years old by Election Day, November 4th. Today's voter registration must be completed online by 11:59 p.m. or submitted in person or by mail by 5 p.m. at your county election office. We're going to add a brief note to this. The deadline for submitting a request to receive an absentee or mail-in ballot is also coming up. That's October 28th. And that's the news for this hour. If you are watching our news videos on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. PEP Radio is available on the Live 365 app, Roku, Alexa, and on the PEP Radio page at paequality.com. Up next, we have the Meadville area weather forecast here on PEP Radio.